Hey, what's up guys? So today is going to be a super quick video, but basically I'm just going to be going over the best settings for cinematic video for the GoPro Hero 10. So basically what we're going to be doing today is just creating a custom settings button so that when you are in the field and you're out shooting, you can basically just click that and all of your settings will already be inputted into the camera and you won't have to do any extra work other than just click that button. So just make sure you're on the video slide and click down here where it says standard. For yours it might be something different. It might say activity, cinematic, or custom. So just scroll down to the bottom here, click that little add button, make sure it's in video mode, and then you'll get a little screen that says choose settings. Mode, video, resolution. So I would recommend doing 4K 30 or 4K 60 depending on what you're shooting. If it's more of an activity and you're gonna wanna go back and slow it down later in post-production, I would go 60, but if it's just kind of something normal, usually I just shoot in 30. I recommend 4K. Some people recommend 5.3K, but I don't really see that much of a difference between 5.3 and 4. So I just do 4 just because it basically gives me a smaller file size and I don't really notice that big of a change in quality. So once you got all that selected, you can just click back. Lens, I stick to wide. That I don't really change that. Hyper smooth. Now this purely depends on what you're filming and what you want. So if you want hyper smooth on, just make sure that you have that selected. I normally just leave it on, and then if I am gonna film something that I don't want it on, then I'll go in and turn it off. And then the rest of these I don't usually do for my custom settings. I just keep no limit, hindsight off, timer off, zoom 1.0. Pro Tune, I usually don't change any of this stuff. Shutter, I usually, I try to keep it double whatever my frame rate is, so 30. I usually keep it at 60. But in some lighter scenarios, you're definitely gonna get times when you're going to need to bump that up. So honestly, leaving it at auto isn't a horrible idea. The big thing is just making sure your ISO min is at 100 and your ISO max should only be at 400. Now if your video starts to get really dark, then I would change that, but for the most part 400 is going to get you still really good footage. And the only reason I do that is because once you get higher than 400, the footage starts to come out a little bit grainy and it just doesn't look as good. So just keeping it at 100 and 400 just gives you the best looking footage from what I've found. Sharpness, I usually have it set to high for like FPV flying, but honestly you really only need to have it set to medium. Some people have it low. I prefer medium, but that's kind of like whatever your preference is and how you want your video to look. Color I usually change to flat just because it gives me a better opportunity to color grade when I go back in post. But if you don't want to do that much color grading, I would just leave it at natural. Vibrant gives off this kind of weird, like, it just looks like super GoPro-y footage. So if you want it to look way more cinematic, I recommend leaving it in flat and then color grading afterwards. Raw audio I usually leave off. Wind I leave auto. Shortcuts, you know, those are all just kind of up to you and whatever you use most. Upper right, having that be hyper smooth, that definitely is really helpful when wanting to toggle that on and off. But as far as like the actual footage and how that looks, I think these are the absolute best settings. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So once you have all these settings selected, you can go over here, put this check box, select whatever you want. I just have it for custom because whenever I come in, I can just go in here, I turn off my GoPro and I turn it back on and it's selected at standard. I can just click on standard, go up to custom one, all of my settings are already inputted and it just makes it super easy. I mean, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, just let me know, but those are the best settings I've found to get the most cinematic footage for GoPros. And this works great for FPV flying, it works great for just any type of action that you're doing. I've done it on mountain biking, and with the 10, the camera's so good, sometimes it looks like you have a professional camera just strapped to your handlebars, which is absurd because this thing is literally the size, I mean, smaller than my palm. I mean, almost as big as my palm, but you know, smaller than my palm. And that's crazy to have this good of a camera be this small. So yeah, if you guys have any recommendations for videos or questions you want me to answer, just please let me know down in the comments, and yeah, I think that's it. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. So, later.